The salacious houses of the Old West produced a litany of ladies with colorful nicknames. Some, like the Irish Queen and the Spanish Queen, were related to ethnicity. These designations not only highlighted their cultural roots, but also served as a lure for customers seeking specific or exotic experiences in these establishments. In the early 20th century, the town of Goldfield in the state of Nevada, USA, experienced a period of prosperity and growth due to gold mining. During this time, the city's firefighters used a chemical wagon, a type of vehicle equipped with a water tank and a fire extinguisher, pulled by horses. At the beginning of the 20th century, a revolutionary invention changed the way of traveling in the American West: the horseless carriage, or automobile. These gasoline-powered vehicles could cover long distances in a short amount of time, but faced a challenge: the lack of proper roads. Especially in the state of Arizona, the arid and thorny terrain made it difficult for cars to pass. The Old West Saloon was more than just an establishment. It was the beating heart of a Western town, where one could find a bit of everything. There, customers could drink, eat, play cards, dice, or roulette, attend political meetings, stay in simple rooms, consort with women of the night, or seek spiritual solace. In the Old West, the brothel was a necessary evil in town, where men with certain desires visited women who did them the favor. In this case, it was a man's desire to capture the beauty and sensuality of the women he befriended. There is much to learn, and above all, enjoy in this discovery. A wooden boat sailed the Truckee River in the state of Nevada in 1867. It was part of a scientific expedition seeking to explore and map the region. On board were 4 men: a captain, a geologist, a photographer, and a cook. They faced currents, rocks, cold, and hunger, but also marveled at the landscapes, wildlife, and flora of the area. Wyatt Earp was a lawman who served in various Western towns in the 19th century United States. He participated in a famous shootout against a gang of outlaws in Tombstone, Arizona, alongside his brothers and his friend Doc Holliday. He was also a hunter, guide, trader, and owner of a gambling hall. He lived a long and adventurous life, traveling the desert with his wife Josie and his brothers. He became a legend of the American Old West, inspiring numerous films and books. 2 women dressed as cowboys pose for a photo in Alberta, Canada, in 1920. They wear hats, shirts, vests, pants, and leather chaps. The woman on the left is an unknown cowgirl who may have worked on a ranch or participated in rodeos. The woman on the right is Maud Beardsley, a famous cowgirl who traveled the world with Buffalo Bill's show. Charlie Meadows was a man dedicated to exploration and adventure. He was part of a scouting group that traveled through Arizona, facing the dangers and mysteries of the desert. In addition to being a scout, he was also a skilled horseman, mastering the art of riding and caring for horses. He was known for his courage, loyalty, and adventurous spirit. In many works and manifestations of Western popular culture, especially in the United States, 2 cowboys stood out for their contribution to the appreciation and promotion of this region and its way of life. They were close friends and admired each other. One of them was Will Rogers, pictured on the left, a humorist. The other was Charles M. Russell, a painter and sculptor. Before becoming one of the first stars of the Western film genre, Edmund Richard Hoot Gibson had a life filled with adventures. Born in the state of Nebraska, he worked as a cowboy from childhood, taming wild horses and participating in rodeo competitions. He also performed in circuses and Old West shows, showcasing his skills in roping and riding. May and Gordon William Lilly arrived in Oklahoma in 1889 after participating in the land run that opened up the territory to settlers. They fell in love with the region and decided to settle there. Gordon William Lilly, nicknamed Pawnee Bill due to his friendship with the Pawnee Native American tribe, dedicated himself to promoting the culture and history of Oklahoma. He created a rodeo show that showcased the skills of cowboys and Native Americans from the Old West. John Clum was an important resident of Tombstone, a town in Arizona famous for its history in the Old West. He was the first elected mayor of Tombstone, following its incorporation in 1881, and also the founder and editor of the newspaper, the Tombstone Epitaph, which still exists today. Clum supported the Earp brothers, who were sheriffs and deputies in the town, in their fight against the outlaws known as cowboys. Frank Dalton, who held the position of Deputy U.S. Marshal, had many responsibilities and obligations as a legal authority. After spending several days traveling through the Indian Territory, a dangerous and hostile region, he finally returned to the city of Fort Smith. He brought with him 6 criminals he had captured, who would now face justice. Eleanor Dumont was an entrepreneur in the gambling industry. Not much is known about her origins, but she arrived in Nevada City speaking with a French accent and announced that she would open a casino in the town. The residents were curious and soon became her loyal customers. Eleanor was skilled in cards and attracted gamblers with her charm and elegance. A stereoscopic photograph by Alfred A. Hart, taken between 1866 and 1869, shows the first construction train of the Transcontinental Railroad passing through a narrow passage between the red rocks of the Royal Gorge, a spectacular canyon nearly 10 miles long along the Arkansas River in the state of Nevada, United States. Richard Farnsworth was born in Los Angeles, California, in 1920. His father was an engineer, and his mother was a homemaker. From a young age, he was interested in the world of horses and rodeo. He had the opportunity to ride in movies as a stuntman without credits since the 1930s. He participated in horse racing scenes and cavalry battles in films. Colt developed several conversion models to adapt their percussion revolvers to metallic cartridges after the end of Rollin White's patent in 1869. One of these models was the Richards conversion, which modified the Colt 1860 Army revolver, one of the most popular of its time. In the image, a Native American holds a Colt 1860 Army revolver with the Richards conversion, with a nickel-plated finish that gives it a metallic shine. Reuben and Wesley Busenitz were 2 brothers who worked at Denny Livestock, a cattle ranch located in Lame Deer, Montana. They were part of the Northern Cowboys, a group of men and women who keep the rural work tradition alive in the American West. They dressed in typical attire, such as hats, scarves, vests, and leather gloves, to protect themselves from the cold, sun, and thorns. In 1920, a set of vehicles pulled by 20 equine animals, known as the 20-mule team wagon train, crossed an arid and rocky region known as Devil's Dance Floor, located in Death Valley National Park, California, United States. This type of transportation was used to carry borax, a mineral used in soap and glass manufacturing, from the mines to the nearest railroad. Kitty Knut, one of the most famous rodeo competitors in the United States, rode the horse Winnemucca in a bronc riding event in Rawlins, Wyoming, in 1919. She had won the title of all-around champion in Pendleton, Oregon, 3 years earlier, and was known as the Diamond Girl for having a precious stone in her front tooth. These men are Deputy U.S. Marshals who worked for Judge Isaac Parker, known as the Hanging Judge for his severity with criminals. They operated in the Fort Smith region of Arkansas, where they faced outlaws, Indians, and other dangers. To protect themselves, they carried Winchester 1873 rifles, a repeating firearm that could fire multiple shots without reloading. The Canadian Pacific Railway is a railway company that emerged in 1881 as part of a national project to unite Canada through a network of rails that crossed the country from coast to coast. The construction of the railway was a major challenge, involving overcoming natural obstacles such as mountains and rivers and facing conflicts with indigenous peoples and immigrant workers. In the camp near the town of Alice, there were 5 men who belonged to the Texas Rangers, a specialized police force in combating crime on the border. They were there to investigate reports that someone was stealing cattle from the King Ranch, one of the largest and most famous ranches in Texas. In the year 1958, the film Born Reckless, a Western starring Mamie Van Doren, featured the collaboration of a rodeo expert who did not appear in the credits. This expert was Ben Johnson, a cowboy who was born and raised in Oklahoma. He was a skilled roper, so much so that in 1953, he and his partner became world champions in team roping. Angie Dickinson, who plays the character Feathers, and John Wayne, who portrays Sheriff John T. Chance, posed together for a promotional photo of the film Rio Bravo, released in 1959. The film, directed by Howard Hawks, is a classic of the Western genre, telling the story of a sheriff who must defend his town from a gang of criminals.